Son of a bitch. Sonic Mania Plus. Now I know what you're thinking. Didn't we already kinda do this episode with Sonic Mania? Well, yes, we did. But this is Sonic Mania Plus, which means there's more glitches. You know what? How about we just roll into the first glitch? This is gonna... That was a pun? That was a pun. At the beginning of Encore mode, you have to choose which other character is going to join you on your adventure, whether it be Mighty or Ray. And for this first glitch, we're going to choose to partner up with Mighty and then head to this floor that only he can break. Now that we're down here, we can see that there are two breakable rocks, one big one and one small one. If you now spin dash towards the rocks and then jump before you hit the smaller one, Mighty will now just be rolling on the spot. Huh, look at that, he's just rolling around at the- wait, no, don't you do it! Alright, you get the idea. This now means the game is soft locked and there's nothing you can do. You're unable to pause to restart the stage, so you have to restart the game entirely. Now you know, don't ever do this. Why would you do this? Well, I guess if you're gonna do a soft lock there, you might as well do another one also in Angel Island Zone. For this one, you don't have to do anything special. Literally, all you have to do is take the same path with Mighty, but when you land in the water, just stay in the water. You may want to switch to Sonic. I think that's maybe how this works. Then you just wait out the timer until both of them drown. Yeah, I know, I get it. It's a little messed up. So when both Mighty and Sonic drown, this happens. The camera kind of pans back to where you first rescue Mighty and Ray, and then it just locks up. As with the previous glitch, all you can do is do a hard reset and start again. I guess the Mania team never actually expected anybody to drown in this pool, and therefore there's no actual contingencies in place for if somebody does. In Green Hill Zone Act 2, you can find this Motobug at the beginning of the stage, which is rolling around on a crumbling platform. If you now make that platform crumble, that Motobug will fall down into a pit of spikes below. Now, I don't think this is a glitch necessarily, but it's definitely not intended. I will say this one thing though. Haha! That is how it feels, Motobug! That is for the many years of falling down into pits of spikes! I hope you stay down there. And he does stay down there because he's stuck. Oh, I think I've been carrying that around for a long time. We should probably forget that happened and just move on. Here's another random glitch you can do with Mighty in Chemical Plant Zone Act 2. When you're in the pipe heading to the Puyo boss, what you need to do is time a hammer drop really well, and if you do this correctly, the alignment of the Puyo screen will be slightly off and not exactly centered. It's not game-breaking or anything, but it's a thing you can do. Here's a glitch that is, however, game-breaking. Once you finish this boss and get flung out of a pipe at the other end towards the animal capsule, what you want to do is keep the animal capsule off screen and use the other character to unlock the animal capsule while it's still off screen. You can do this by having the other character face the other way while you face the wall and do a spin dash, and then if you time a jump correctly, the other character should land on the button on top of the animal capsule. I'm not gonna lie, this is a huge pain in the butt to set up, but if you get it just right, this will happen. The game never intends you to be on this side of the spring when you finish the stage, and so what happens is this spring still has collision and Sonic or whoever is unable to actually pass through it. What this means is the characters are going to be pushing against that spring for a pretty long time. The game does, however, correct itself and eventually sends you to Studiopolis without doing any of the zone transition stuff, but hey, at least we're not soft-locked. Something very similar to this happens in Press Garden Act 1. Once you've fought the Act 1 boss and the signpost drops down, what you need to do is keep knocking it to the right of the screen until it reaches about... keep going... a little bit more... and about there. Now all you have to do is wait for the Act 1 results screen to disappear and... And if you really enjoyed that act transition glitch, why not check out this glitch transition from Lava Reef Zone to Metallic Madness Zone? For this glitch, we'll need tails, and what we have to do is once the Act 2 boss is over and done with, the animal capsule will drop from the top of the screen. We need to fly upwards towards it, free the animals, and then fly above it until the Act results screen has finished tallying the score. The second it's finished, you're able to land on top of the animal capsule with tails, and then, just as the cutscene is about to begin, jump. As the cutscene cutscene begins to play, it carries the momentum of this jump and Tails gracefully soars into the air. It's so beautiful! Haven't quite had enough of messing with these cutscenes? Well, there's just one more. After the amazing Metallic Madness Act 2 boss, what will happen is you're supposed to run into these lasers to grow big and then end the stage as normal. However, playing as Sonic and Tails or playing in Encore mode, you can use the secondary character to do the same thing as we kinda did earlier. By having the character face the other way towards the animal capsule that will finish the stage and then spin dashing and having them jump on it, we can once again initiate the end of the zone while the animal capsule is still off screen. And if you actually pull this off, what will happen is it will mess with the cutscene transitioning into Titanic Monarch. The camera here is expected to be centered on the animal capsule when this cutscene starts, so when we start messing with it, it ends up with Sonic and Tails just staring at a wall while the Titanic Monarch is ominously in the background. Kinda seems a little ridiculous now we're looking at it. I think we should move on from breaking cutscenes in the game and once again talk about softlocks. But this next softlock is something slightly different, which is very funny to look at. This particular glitch takes place in Oil Ocean Zone Act 2 and we'll need to be playing in Encore mode. There's one specific point in Oil Ocean Zone Act 2 where you're on top of a submarine and you have these kind of spikes that go across the screen like this, and all we have to do, it's very simple, is with 0 rings, jump at this spiked object thingy just above where the entrance is to the submarine. And if you do this just right, your character will look as if you just told them they aren't actually real beings. And you guessed it, you're gonna have to restart the entire game because ain't nothing gonna stop that look on Knuckles' face. However, don't bother trying this with Mighty, he is immune to the spikes, you are wasting your time. There is one very interesting side effect of this glitch which I kind of accidentally discovered while trying to do the first glitch. If you actually fail landing on the edge of the entrance to the submarine and actually go inside it, the game actually considers the character you're playing with now as dead or somehow in a very glitchy state, to the point where you can actually pause the game and the character will still be moving around while the game is paused. I'd never seen anything like this in the game glitch-wise and almost jumped out of my seat when I discovered it. A very cool glitch to mess around with indeed. But now we just have to talk about one of my favorite glitches in the entire game. This particularly funny and amazing glitch takes place in Studiopolis Zone Act 2 whilst you're playing in Encore mode. There's a section where you go through these kind of electric pipes that teleport you from place to place, and players were finding when they went through this very specific tube in the stage that when they emerged out the other end, the other playable character is now an absolute giant. Now this took me some time to actually figure out why this occurs, and really it's very simple. You set this up by having the other character go in this tube first and then you follow shortly after while you're holding left the entire time. This glitch has a lot to do with this particular badnik just outside the entrance to the tube. Basically what we're trying to achieve is have the other character hit this badnik while it's off screen, and this actually screws with the way the character is scaled when it returns to us. They always have this animation where the character kind of comes from the front of the screen and lands next to our character. Well, we're trying to interrupt that so it actually ends up misscaling the character and they end up like a giant. Now there's definitely some timing involved with this, but one of the cool things is you can actually hear the other character get hit by this badnik while they're off screen. And that's more or less a good indication that the glitch is actually in effect now. Needless to say, I got this glitch to work quite a few times and ended up with some pretty funny results. I ended up with a giant Tails that could still fly Sonic around. I mean, look at this. It's both adorable and terrifying all at the same time. And check out this giant Mighty. I mean, now the name makes perfect sense. Knock knock, it's Knuckles, and he's extremely mad you've taken his Chaos Emeralds. Now, one of the things to note about this glitch is the character's hitbox is exactly the same as it would be when they were normal size. This means they'll interact with everything on screen as you'd expect. The sad thing is though, you can only really play with this glitch in this one area because the minute you enter this thing, everything returns back to normal. But you know something? That's not the only instance of this kind of glitch. There's another one that happens in Metallic Madness Act 1. And as you can see, this glitch is the exact opposite to the last glitch in the fact that we're actually really tiny now. The gimmick of Metallic Madness Act 1 is that you go into the background which shrinks your character, but they're not the tiny character that you see in Act 2, no, this is just the sprite being shrunk. And I'm pretty convinced this is a very similar glitch to what happens in Studiopolis Act 2. Although how you actually set this up is beyond me. This happened completely by accident and this is just a regular playthrough and this happened. which doesn't stop it from being any less funny to look at. It's Tiny Tails, the two-tailed terror. You know, I just love it when things with characters go completely wrong. Like this next glitch that happens in Lava Reef Zone Act 1. Now this is a very funny glitch that I didn't show off in the Sonic Mania episode, but it's still here in Sonic Mania Plus. For this glitch you'll need Knuckles, and it's amazingly simple to do. Literally all you have to do is glide at this one ramp that launches you over the lava in Act 1, and you'll see this. Knuckles is now rotating in the air like he would if he was being launched off the ramp, however he's not actually going horizontally, he's just kind of going up, and it just looks kind of crazy, especially when you try and change directions in the air. Now what I find most interesting about this glitch is that the developers definitely know there's something like this in their game because they've already solved this issue that happens with these things in Studiopolis Acts 1 and 2. In fact, the footage you're actually looking at is from the developers, but as you can see they probably had no idea people would even try this, and so the glitch is still in Sonic Mania Plus, and it's a very fun, easy one to pull off. Another very simple and interesting glitch is this Spindash glitch, where if you stand up against a solid object in the game facing right and then do a spin dash and start holding down and left as you perform the spin dash, you'll actually start sliding to the left. Now this can be done with item monitors or springs or spikes. It doesn't work with every single object in the game, but if it animates or it's interactive in some way, shape or form, chances are you're going to be able to do this glitch. For some reason this only works if you're facing right, perform the spin dash and start holding left. If you do it the other way around, nothing happens. However, there is one point in Titanic Monarch Act 1 just before the boss where you have this spring, and if you stand on it just like this and start spin dashing, when the other character comes along and activates that spring, your character will start spin dashing and climbing the hill, and it doesn't matter if you're facing left or right, you will climb that hill. It's very strange, it's definitely pointless, but it's fun nonetheless, and I have no idea why I get a kick out of this. Like, why am I still going? Oh, and you can also do a very similar thing with the 8-bit Silver Sonic during the Metal Sonic fight, where if you stand right up next to him, start spin dashing, and he starts spin dashing, you'll be sent backwards at such speeds you won't even know what's happening. Let's briefly head back to Titanic Monarch Act 1 to do yet another glitch in this area to do with the boss. Now when you enter this boss, usually what happens is the lights get dark, everything gets moody, and then you initiate the boss as normal. But we don't do normal, so what we're going to do is have the other character, say for instance Tails, enter the boss area off screen, and you'll see the lights dim for just a second, and then everything kind of goes back to normal. Now if we step into the boss arena, what happens is the lights stay up, and we can see this boss without any palette changes whatsoever. You could almost say we've seen the light. Here's another glitch that kind of randomly happened to me again during a regular playthrough. I wasn't even searching for glitches, and what this one is some kind of weird Moonjump. Now this is in Mania mode with the and Knuckles cheat turned on, if that makes any difference, and I kind of just noticed that Knuckles was jumping insanely high, and I was like, what the heck is going on here? What category of strangeness is this? Well, I think debug mode in this game might shed some light on what is actually happening here. With debug mode switched on, we want to play just a regular game and get, let's say, Sonic in a pool of water and wait for him to drown. Why have I spent half of this episode trying to drown a fictional hedgehog? Anyway, once Sonic finally runs out of air and dies, that's when you activate debug mode. We now want to place Sonic outside of the water on solid ground, and immediately once you start jumping around, you'll notice something isn't quite right. We've now basically given Sonic the ability to moonjump, and this is really fun actually. You should definitely try this one. But my question is this the reason that Knuckles was able to jump so high earlier? I mean, I don't know, I was asking you. While we have debug mode, we may as well mess around with it some more, and there's another cool thing we can do back in Studiopolis Act 2. A running theme of this episode seems to be messing with characters' size, and this one's no exception. Remember these things? Whatever they're called? Well, if you activate debug mode at any one point in this, you'll get a different size of character based on where you did it. So for instance, if I activate debug mode while the character is closest to the screen, I'll end up with a much larger sprite, and if I do it further away from the screen, the characters will be teeny tiny. I'm gonna wrap this episode up with one of my favorite weird things to do. It may not be a glitch, it might be, I don't know, it just looks weird. Let's get into it. With debug mode unlocked, go into a file with Sonic and Tails and then activate debug mode once inside a stage. Now choose the item boxes and then cycle through till you reach this specific power-up. It'll now cycle through each of the characters, but you have to make sure you hit it when it's on Tails. And now you should have 2 Tails on screen, but that's not the weird thing, oh no. The weird thing is when you can get Tails to carry Tails in an airlift. This can be pretty tricky to pull off, and I don't really think it's a glitch, but it's definitely weird to look at. But there we are, guys. I'm gonna round this one off, and there are some crazy glitches you guys can pull off in Sonic Mania Plus. If you're a big fan of Son of a Glitch, why not consider following me on Twitter at A+Start Show. There I post updates and screenshots of weird glitches that I'm working on. You can even show me clips of glitches you guys have found. And you can even suggest games to me that you'd like to be turned into Son of a Glitch episodes. I'm incredibly active on Twitter, and it's easily one of the most active social media platforms I have. And I really love hearing from you guys. I'm trying to reach a goal of about 50,000 Twitter followers, so hey, why not follow today? And if you like this episode, why not check out the other episodes from the series? There's a handy little playlist right there. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram, and as always, a huge thanks to everybody who supports the Patreon, you guys the ones that make it happen.